No. No, 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 no. No. La perra basura que I got here. So, I'm gonna do a little quick update on what the fuck we got going on both of the trucks because it's a lot. So, first off, Scar has been down for about a good 3 weeks now. Well, I put her down. For the simple fact, there's a fucking leak. So, it was something small, you know, a couple binks, and then it got worse. And then this whole fucking rear end section of the truck was just caked with fucking transmission fluid, you know, the polvo and shit like that. So I decided to park it for the meantime, inspect it, try to fix it, do whatever I can to get it back on the road where it's not bad. So it got worse. So the piece that's leaking is the two pieces where your transmission and your transfer case meet, where your transmission support is at. I just noticed it on that side. Me thinking all this just trickled down and just came this side. Well, kind of find out it's cracked on the same spots on both sides, and it's just right here where this nut is at. I can't really explain it. I mean, I'll just show you what the fuck. No. We'll put JB with. Clean it with brake cleaner and just try to apply it as quick as possible. Transmission fluid still seeped out. Now I'm gonna have to do the shit that I didn't want to do. I'm gonna take out this whole transmission, see if the Escalade piece part will fit this, if it's the exact same part number or whatever. If not, I'm gonna have to source this to the port store online or something like that. So the truck is gonna be down for a while. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and aprovechar since all this got kicked on with transmission fluid. I'm gonna go ahead and redo all this, touch it up, get whatever I couldn't get back then. And whenever I was building the truck, I couldn't really get into these nooks and crannies because of the support and transmission in the way, and then the cat. So it was just something to do for the meantime. Since Scar is done, I'm gonna do some other things inside. I'm gonna just explain to y'all the best way to take out a transmission with the transfer case itself with, you know, decent equipment. I've only done a transmission job at the house, taking it out a couple times, 4 or 5 times. Nothing really major to invest in the transmission jack itself. So to do that, you go about it the same process. You take your transmission brace and then your exhaust out. Well, with the two-wheel drives, it's easier because once you get all that out of the way, you just have to slide it back and it comes straight down. But your four-wheel drives is a little bit harder because you got all this link, transmission, the adapter, and then the transfer case itself. Standing it up, it might be 4 feet tall. And trying to manage all that looking up is a little bit difficult. So to do this, like I said, with just a regular jack that everybody uses, all that is risky because you don't have nothing really securing it to the jack itself. The transmission would want to probably tilt forward or roll over or slide off, and you're kind of risking yourself and you're risking the transmission. You might risk, if it falls down, you'll crack the bell housing or you'll make a dent in the pan itself and then mess up the valve body. So the way I go about it is I actually use strap. The reason why you would use strap, make sure you use, you know, pretty good size strap, no thin ones from Walmart. You know, they sell a pack of 4 of. Use decent size. So the reason you use strap is for security, and it's easier to use, obviously with no proper equipment. So let's just say this is the ratchet strap or the strap itself. So what you would do, this is your passenger side, this is your driver's side. Let's just say this is in the vehicle. You get your strap, go over the frame rail, you know, 2-3 turns, and then tie it off, doing however you want to do it. You want to do it on the driver's side because this is where you're going to manage everything. This is just to support. The reason why you want to do it over here is because all you got here is your harnesses and brake lines and shit like that. So this needs to be fixed. It doesn't have to move. You're just securing it there. It has to go over the frame rail. And after that, you come across, go under the bell housing, and the same thing. You go over the frame rail and you do 2 or 3 turns. The turn serves as a purpose as your control, your feed. Once you do that, you do the, you know, tie it off somewhere, keep it secured, make sure it doesn't move for your tour jobs. If you want to have more security, if you're not really, you know, contento with the jack and it being risky. On the forward jobs, you need 2 because of the fucking length and the weight. So you do the same process from the driver's side to the passenger side, and then you wrap under, I guess you would belly under right here where your forward drive shaft goes to the transfer case. Once you do that, on the two-wheel drives, it's easier because all you have to do is unbolt it, slide it back a couple inches once you take all this shit off, and then come straight down. Where your forward drive is a little bit difficult. I'm pretty sure it applies to all forward drive trucks. I'm not exactly sure, but the GMT 800s, your torsion bar bracket is in the way from it coming straight down. There's no way you can move that or take that out. Reason being is because that system is under load, and that carries that's your whole suspension system for your forward drive truck. So you can't take that out, so you have to work around it. Hence why you need two straps. So what you have to do is slide the transmission back enough to where you can have the bell housing come straight down. Well, at an angle, that jack ain't gonna serve no purpose. So that's why you have this in play to hold the weight of the bell housing as it goes down. The reason why you do the turns is because, let's just say, as you can see, I'm not really underneath the truck. I don't risk myself. I don't risk, the transmission itself being on top of me. I'm outside the vehicle, on the side. I'm managing how fast it goes down. Once you're done with that, you're through with that, your bell housing is touching the ground. You slide that forward. The reason why you would slide it back and forward and have it at an angle is because you have to leave it out of this. The the torsion bar bracket sits about right here. So you have to slide back to give you space to have that pitched down. And then you have to slide forward about a good 8 to 10 inches to come straight down. So whenever you slide it forward, like I said, you can throw your jack away because at a hard angle, that's not going to serve no purpose to carry any kind of weight. It's more riskier like that. That's why you have your back strap. And the same thing, once you leave it out, that trans brace, the fucking torsion bar brace, that's whenever you can use the back strap where your transfer case is at to feed it. Again, you're not under the vehicle, you're not risking yourself. You feed how fast it goes down. Y ya quedó. It's on the ground, you can throw it back on top of a jack or a cart or whatever you want to do, and you slide it out of the vehicle. That's the best way to do it by yourself. Whenever you don't have the proper tools, taking it out is easy. Putting it back in is going to be a little bit more difficult. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have somebody help me out. But that's fine. The reason why I took this shit apart is because there's a leak. So in your two-wheel drives, you have your output shaft, or your whole shaft in general would be a little bit longer because it would sit right here. But you have like a little cone, and then, you'd get this, you get your rear seal. So if you're ever leaking at your rear seal, it's because of this area right here. Well, I'm leaking, and I'm assuming it's a pretty good bit because it was, binking on the concrete for like 2-3 weeks straight, and the puddle was getting bigger. So on your forward drive trucks, you got the your adapter for your transfer case. Well, the leak was happening here. So this is the driver's side looking at how it needs to be, like if you're under it. It was leaking here, and then I noticed it was leaking on the other side too, on the same spot, if you would say. I'm not sure if there's supposed to be fluid in there or not. Reason being is because, it does have a gasket, and then where it bolts on to the transfer case, it's just a regular paper gasket. But it was leaking. And then I noticed a crack. So whenever you have cast parts, there's always going to be cast lines. That's just how they're manufactured. It's always going to have it. So I was thinking it was the same deal here. I'm assuming, okay, that's a cast line. Well, that looks like a crack. Let me go on the inside of this piece. Well, these cracks, these lines look like they're corresponding with the ones directly on the outside. So this piece, I had this bitch jacked up on some military jack stands. I was trying to get as high as I could to be able to take the transmission out, diff, just whatever I could underneath, and then junk it. But so I ain't got time to do that. Kind of lazy too. What I'm doing is just stuffing everything back together and just throwing it in the back of the yard. If I ever need to get something like a window motor, just in time if I break a clip or something, or this rod bends, or fuck, I'm have to do something here and I missed this, I don't feel like going to the junkyard. I already have a whole vehicle with original parts. So we're just gonna keep it, just throw it in the back of the yard. But in doing that, I was going through the inside, just looking through shit that I've thrown in here over time, seeing if I need to take anything out. And then I looked at something that was kind of intriguing that I can probably do in Scar. As you can see, it's missing. So on Escalades, Denali's, shit like that, SUVs, not sure about trucks, probably trucks too. You could probably make it work if you find a Escalade truck whatever the fuck they're called. But since we got an SUV, this is what you can apply it to. You can only apply it to a extended cab and a single cab. I'll explain to you why. So the trim piece starts from here. You can see already the outline where it goes, and it goes back to the back door to do that. So to take this off, you have to take the door off. There's no other way to get it through there. So just take your 10 mil out here, and then there, and then just pry it up. It might be stuck. Probably have to bang it with a hammer a little bit, like I did. And then this side, I actually had to use a piece of wood and actually pry it up. Oh, pendejo soy yo. So this is the actual trim piece that comes out, what that is. You got a bunch of clips. You have to break those off because you won't be able to use them on that truck or on any other vehicle you want to apply it to. For the simple fact, since it ain't optioned in, you won't have it. So just go ahead and break them off right there. I'll show you what y'all can do. So, like I said, the only reason you can probably apply this to an extended cab and a single cab is because of the SUV size. The door size is small. So it's about the same size of an extended cab as far as this portion to here. So what you can do, I'll show y'all. Well, I already got it cut. Let me go here. This is how it's gonna look. Just something a little more extra you can add to the truck. Different color, it's fine. Kind of matches the interior. Don't plan on painting it, don't plan on doing nothing else. So right now I have to suspend it or hold it with my leg. As you can see, it's the same length as far as, well, kinda. You don't really step here, but it lines up perfectly for your extended cab. So to make this work on Scar and an extended cab, what you have to do, so this is the driver's side. This is no problem. Your problem starts here. So your hinge part to your extended cab is around this area. As you can see, it's sticking out pretty good. So what I ended up doing is once it starts coming up, that's where I marked it and kind of made a rough outline of what I needed to cut until where it flattened out again. Cut it, shut it sticking in the truck, and then the plastic piece was still in the way of where the hinge parts goes. So what I ended up doing is marking it on the truck, go down right to this ridge and go back up, and then just follow the line. This piece, you don't need to use it. It's just going to be in the way, nor does it kind of mold to the vehicle at all. So you can see if I kind of puzzle piece this motherfucker together, you can see how big of a piece I cut off. So like I was saying, once it comes up and flares up and comes off the actual body, that's where I ended up cutting it and try to make it flow straighter, so it won't look as harsh. Put it on there, since as you can see it doesn't stay on and the truck doesn't have clips. Just clean your area, put a good bit of 3M, stick it, y ya queda. And as far as what you have to cut, just to once again line up that, because that goes for your little rubber piece where your door meets the cab, and I guess just prevent it from making noise and keep it tight, whatever. You can see what I had to cut. It doesn't look 100%, but like I said, it looks pretty good. So as you know, I have the Escalade for parts. There's a bunch of things that I robbed off of it, like the mirrors with the turn signal, puddle light, this plastic trim piece that I made fit. You know, a little extra added oomph to it. So this, you can only do it on a single cab or an extended cab. You can't do it on a 4-door. I also robbed the cluster and I think a couple other things that I can't really think off the top of my head. But like I said, I'm gonna use as much as I can from that vehicle. And another thing is this. I'm gonna do, well, I'm in the process of almost finishing or whatever, of doing a bumper swap from Escalade to a step side bed. I've seen it done online. I had a truck that I bought that needed some work done to it, and it had a Denali style bumper. Whenever I bought it, I could tell because it had the ovals. It looked pretty good. I kind of digged it, so you know, might as well go ahead and do it. So this right now, what I'm gonna do is just explain to y'all exactly what you have to do to make it work. I've seen a couple people do it on YouTube, but they kind of go into a real depth video and it's real long. But I'm gonna just sum it down for you to make it easier if you come across this and you want to do it as well. So first, a step side, what I had to do, if you get a tape measure, so from where I cut it, chingo, to the edge, you know, the point of the bumper on top is about 11 inches. So that's how much you have to cut on both sides to make it fit. On the flare side, it'd probably be less. It'd probably be 6 inches or so. I'm not exactly sure. You can measure that out yourself. Another thing you have to cut, well, plastic and metal here, and right here I think it's just plastic. I'm not exactly sure how much I cut off. I was just cutting little by little, but you can see exactly how much I cut off and how close it's sticking to the bed, or close it is to the bed. Another thing you have to do to make this work is trim a little bit on the bottom. That's if you have a receiver or a hitch. So you see that little lip here, that goes across to the other side. All I did was just cut it smooth right here where this line is at, so it can fit. Also, you have to change brackets. Your brackets from your SUV and a truck are different. So one thing you have to do, well, two things, is you got to take off this little side support, which I'm assuming goes somewhat like this. You take both of them off on the Escalade because they'll interfere from the bumper sliding in, and then your main bracket piece that holds your bumper to the frame. You can't use these because I think if you put them on there, you try to slide the bumper, it will throw your bumper up and it just won't work. So what you're going to do, since you're already going to take off your original bumper or whatever you got, you just use those brackets. You don't have to use these. It's just extra support if you want it. You just take the main brackets, swap them onto the other one, bolt them up. Once you do your modifications on trimming, it'll work. It'll slide in perfectly, and it looks good. I think, and he kind of explained it to me and it just clicked in my head. The reason why the adapter piece is cracked and leaking is because of me raising the rear end. So whenever I leveled it in the rear, whenever you do any kind of lift there, you're pushing your drive shaft farther out from your transmission, or in this case, my transfer case. Well, in that, there's less, you know, let's say there's less meat into the transfer case. So that entitles it to have more play, more vibrations or whatever, and that's what caused it to crack. So the only thing I'm gonna do is get a new adapter piece, a new paper gasket for the rear where the transfer case meets, and we should be good. Oh, and then also I'm gonna take the rear lift out and just have it squatted. For the reason the truck is on steelies is because I had to take the 20s off because I'm getting new tires. These tires done did their job. I think they were about a little under 50% tread. I got them for like $500. They were on the truck the whole time. I think I did about good 25 to 30,000 miles. So I got my money's worth out of them. They did their job. So now time to get new 35s. So I took them out because I ordered tires and they should be here the next day of this portion of the video. So I have to have them off. The reason why the truck is on steelies is because, again, the wads, there's one that's cracked. I got to see about doing something with that. And I can't really put on the 18s because of the wheel lights. The wheel lights are going to topar and then I'm going to mess them up and I don't feel like taking them off. So I just threw them on steelies, just have the wheels backwards. Anyways, just going to be moving around in the yard. Not really going to be rolling a lot. The wheels itself, I found a guy on Facebook that has the exact same wheel. The bad thing is they don't make these wheels no more, so you can't really ask a dealer to go find you one. The only bad thing is the dude's about 6 hours away in Florida. I don't really feel like going that far just for some wheels. Same thing, he has one that's really fucked up, and he's selling the set of 3 with that one for, I'll say, a decent price, but going all the way down there, having to pay for that and some other shit, I don't feel like going down right now. So we're just gonna let him sit. We'll let the truck ride on steelies for a little bit till we get it fixed, till we get new tires, because this does not look good. These are just rollers. These are backups. This is what I went with. I went with the TikTok and Instagram trending type shit. The Radar Renegade X 35 1250 20. It ain't in the best condition. It don't look the hottest, but we're gonna use the same shit that I always use to paint the frame. I was gonna buy actual paint, you know, scuff it up, do the whole process of painting it decently where it can kind of match, even though it's not gonna be 100%. Like I said, the paint is shitty on Scar, but it does shine. This is painted with that can as well because this is the original one that came on the truck and it was faded, so I painted that. To this day, it's holding up pretty good. It's not shiny, it's not dull. It's pretty decent. So just gonna do that. Fuck it, it don't matter anyway. It's just a bumper, it's easy to take off. I'm gonna spray it one more time, another heavy coat, let it dry for about 30 minutes, and then I'm gonna go with some clear that I had laying around, and hopefully it'll give it a good shine to distinguish that it ain't painted. Use the same harness from that bumper. These sensors are going to be obsolete or not used or whatever, so there's no point in having that whole cableado in here. Painted this piece just so it don't look as rough and bad whenever you take it off or you're under the truck or whatever, and because there was a bunch of rust and flaking and shit. So got that done. That's about it that I can think of. Oh, and the battery. I'm over here thinking that the battery was dead. Possibly, possibly not. That charger detected that it was dead. On here it shows up bad battery or bad charge or whatever. But you go trusty Noco, as always, doing his job. Started up. No problem it being dead. And so far so good. It still turns on. Let y'all hear it. So this is the exhaust leak.